I was a young woman named Sarah, who lived a quiet life in a small town. I was an active user of Facebook and had a large network of friends on the platform. I loved connecting with old friends and keeping up with the latest news and gossip. However, that all changed one fateful day when I received a friend request from an unknown account named Emily Smith. At first, I was hesitant to accept the request, but the profile picture was of a smiling girl who looked friendly, and there were no red flags in the account's history, so I eventually decided to accept it. But as soon as I did, strange things began to happen. I started receiving messages from the account, but they were written in a cryptic and unsettling tone. At first, I thought it was a joke, but as the messages became more frequent and increasingly disturbing, I began to feel a growing sense of unease. One day, I received a message that read, "I know things about you." I had no idea what the message was referring to, and it made me feel paranoid. I tried to ignore the messages and blocked the account, but the messages continued to come, even appearing on other social media platforms I used. I began to feel as if I was being watched, and the messages became more and more threatening. I tried to tell my friends and family about what was happening, but they all thought I was just being paranoid. One night, I received a message from the account that read, "You can't hide from me." I was so scared that I stayed up all night, checking my phone and refreshing my Facebook page. The next morning, I discovered that all of my Facebook friends had received the same message. I finally decided to do some research and found out that Emily Smith was the name of a young girl who had passed away in a car accident years ago. Her parents had created a Facebook account in her memory, but it had been inactive for years. I was horrified by the realization that someone was using the girl's identity to harass and scare me. I immediately changed all of my privacy settings and reported the account to Facebook. But even after the account was deleted, the messages continued to come. I was at my wit's end, feeling constantly scared and paranoid. I started to experience vivid nightmares, and my relationships with my friends and family suffered. I was desperate for a solution, so I turned to a private investigator for help. The investigator was able to trace the source of the messages to a group of cyberbullies who lived in a different city. They were using fake accounts to harass and scare young women, and I was just one of many victims. With the help of the police, the cyberbullies were eventually caught and brought to justice. I was able to finally put the whole ordeal behind me, but I was left with a deep scar that would never fully heal. From that day on, I was more cautious about accepting friend requests from unknown accounts and regularly checked my privacy settings. My experience made me realize the importance of being vigilant about online safety and privacy and the damaging effects of cyberbullying. I was scrolling through my Facebook feed one night when I noticed something strange. I had received a friend request from an old high school friend, Emily, who had died in a car accident several years ago. I was shocked and immediately felt a chill run down my spine. I thought it must have been a mistake, but as I looked closer, I realized that the profile picture was definitely of her. I accepted the request, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. I was excited to connect with an old friend, but at the same time, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was not right. Over the next few days, I received friend requests from several other people who had passed away, including a childhood best friend and my grandpa. I was haunted by their profiles and couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I started to notice strange things happening on my Facebook account. My privacy settings were being changed, and my profile picture was being altered. I started receiving messages from unknown numbers, and my news feed was filled with cryptic messages and strange posts. I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. My sleep was plagued by nightmares, and I felt like I was being followed wherever I went. One night, I was home alone and I heard a strange noise coming from my computer. When I approached it, the screen lit up with the message, "You can never escape the dead." I screamed and ran from the room, realizing that my Facebook account had been hacked by a force beyond my control. I deactivated my account and changed all of my passwords, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I was never able to escape the strange, haunting presence that had taken over my Facebook account, and it continued to haunt me to this day. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. I thought I had finally escaped the horrors of my hacked Facebook account, but I was wrong. I started receiving strange emails from unknown addresses, and my phone was filled with strange text messages. I felt like I was being watched at all times, and I was never truly alone. I started to do some research and found that several others had experienced similar issues with their Facebook accounts. I learned that there was a dark, underground world of hackers who used social media to terrorize their victims. I realized that I was just one of many who had fallen victim to their twisted games. I tried to move on with my life, but the fear and paranoia continued to consume me. I was never able to fully escape the haunting presence of my hacked Facebook account, and it remains a dark and terrifying part of my life to this day. I often wonder if I'll ever truly be free from its grasp, or if it will continue to haunt me for the rest of my life. My name is Madison, and I'm 22 years old. I grew up in the digital age and have been a Facebook user for as long as I can remember. It's where I connect with friends and family, share my thoughts and experiences, and feel a sense of community. But that all changed one day when I started receiving friend requests from a stranger. At first, I thought it was just a random person, so I ignored the request. But then, the stranger started messaging me and claiming to know things about me that no one else could possibly know. They knew my full name, where I went to school, my favorite coffee shop, and even my order there. I was terrified and immediately changed my privacy settings, but it was too late. The stalker had already found a way to track my every move online. They would show up at the same places I did and post pictures of me on their profile. I tried to report the account to Facebook, but they wouldn't do anything about it. The stalker was always one step ahead of me, always finding a way to track me and send me messages. I was constantly looking over my shoulder, always afraid of who might be watching me. I started losing sleep and became paranoid, afraid to even leave my house. I felt like I was being suffocated by this person's obsession with me. I was trapped in a nightmare, and I didn't know how to escape. I tried to tell my friends and family about what was happening, but they didn't believe me. They thought I was just being paranoid or overreacting. I was alone in my fear and had nowhere to turn. The stalker seemed to know everything about me, and I was scared of what they might do next. One day, I received a message from the stalker, saying that they were going to hurt me. I was terrified, and I didn't know what to do. I called the police, but they couldn't do much without concrete evidence of a threat. I was at my wit's end, feeling helpless and hopeless. But then, I remembered something my father once told me: the only way to overcome your fears is to face them head-on. So, I gathered my courage and sent a message to the stalker, asking who they were and why they were doing this to me. I never received a response, but the messages and posts stopped suddenly. To this day, I still don't know who was behind the profile or why they targeted me. But I learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of the internet and the importance of being careful with what we share online. I still have nightmares about that stalker, always wondering if they're still out there, watching me. But I won't let my fear control me. I won't let them win. I hope my story serves as a cautionary tale and reminds people to be mindful of their online presence. The internet can be a wonderful place, but it can also be a dark and dangerous one. So be careful out there, and never give up hope.